You're listening to ARC. This is Rasmus speaking from the middle of winter in Cape Town. It's raining heavily outside. We've just released episode 4 of the Unburied Podcast. And I want to start by saying thank you to everyone who listened, especially those of you who signed up to become archangels to directly support our work. It means everything. But also to those of you who took the time to write to us, to give feedback and ask questions and, tell us how you felt about the story or how that made you feel. It really means a lot to hear from listeners like you. Normally, our episodes are heavily edited documentary-style stories with sound design and music and all those bells and whistles. That's the kind of stories we love to tell, and the format allows us to make stories about sometimes quite complex events and ideas in interesting ways. But those stories take a lot of time to make, and so much of what we record never makes it into the final edits. This episode is going to be a little bit different. It's the first of a new concept we call ARC interviews. And that's exactly what it is. Interviews with interesting people that we'll publish in between the longer documentary series. And this first ARC interview is with someone you already know if you've listened to the Unburied series. And if you haven't, I suggest you go back and start there. The person I'm speaking to is Brain Miennies, activist and assistant to Petrus Valborg, the traditional leader of the Komani-san in the southern Kalahari. I've met Brian a few times and we get along well, but still, before sitting down to interview him this time, I was nervous. Because before talking to Brian, I'd sent him the drafts of the episodes. And normally this is no big deal. We often send out drafts to make sure that everything is factually correct. But this still felt different, because the background for this story is essentially that people who look like me, Europeans or at least white people, have gone to the Kalahari to collect everything from bones to research data and then simply left to write their PhDs or articles and go on with their lives. The community has often felt that they got nothing out of this, while other people capitalized on their stories. And our story deals with something very deep and very emotional for Brian's community. And if he and the community felt that we were simply doing the same thing as all those other people that came before us, then what was the point? Could we even publish the story? So when I sat down with Brian in the garden of the Uppington Inn in the Kalahari, I was really quite nervous. Did we get it right? My name is Rasmus Bitsch, and this is an ARC interview with Brain Miennies. And I started the conversation asking him about Rudolf Pöch, the man who's collecting bones right here in this area just over 100 years ago.
Before listening to it, I never knew about it. I've never even heard of that name. It is only now that we are busy with this human repatriation that I learn that those things that I've learned from my time at school, primary school, high school, it was influenced by the teachings of this man, which not only equipped us with knowledge, but also came with heartache to my people. So I've never knew about this guy until now.
And yet the Kalahari is where you live. Like, is it your impression that, generally speaking, people are aware of this history?
My people is a people that, because of the hurt that they have incurred, they tend to not speak of it. They are people who will make peace with the situation, and they would look beyond the situation and leave it there. But me, myself, I'm not like that. We have to discuss this, because down the path, something similar will happen, and then what have we learned? So generations before me left certain things unchecked, or that brought so much pain. And I am not saying that they were totally wrong. It was their choices of that time.
You mean to like let it rest, to try and move on with their lives? Yeah.
Yes. So they let it rest. Let's move on. Let's forget about this. But that was, if I look down, let me say, if I look at it now, it was a wrong choice, but it was the choice of that time.
Right.
Yeah. For me now, it's I actually, when I was listening to all of this, and I said to myself, well, this journey of mine has started to search for, where does this guy came from? How did it came about that you went down this path? So it is part of me, because I know that somewhere along the line, as I grow older, I'm destined to take a leadership role. So I need to understand what happened in the past to determine a future. And part of it was to say that, yes, it's hurtful. It is damaging. There was some point where I even shed a tear. But this whole thing said just one thing for me, that we need to focus on the future. We need to create a path whereby all of us, whether we are black, Bushman, Xhosa, Austrian, or whomever, we need to find a path to say that, listen, the past is the past. Let us help each other. Let us no more study each other. We don't want to be studied anymore, because the Bushman is one of the most studied people of the 20th century and the 21st century. They are the most studied, and we don't want to do that anymore. The bones of those individuals that have been studied and have been put on display, or have been taken from this shore to Europe and any other parts of the world to be made unto zoo animals, it needs to be returned. Sarah Bartman was one of those individuals. The Pinas were another. But there are many others. Yeah. They are my forefathers. They are my forebears. So for me, as an activist, I don't want to see anything other than a reburial of those bones, a path that is now reconstructed of peace, stability, because right through the years, these anthropologists told a story that is far from the Kalahari, how the people lived. And even listening to those voices.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, how was it listening to just a few of the voices from then?
It's one thing I can say. It brought some tears, because it is the language of my forebears, which I no longer can speak because of the brutality of the regimes that ruled us. So it's like an echo. You hear it. It goes through the desert. It's like the howl of a wolf. You hear it, somewhere. You hear it.
Do you mean like that is like your experience of your life? Like when, say, you are in the Kalahari, is that like symbolically or literally something that you feel, those voices of your forefathers?
Yes, they call unto me. They call unto me, for they are in distress because their bones have not been laid to rest. And they will continue to call out until the last one is being put to ground, because that's where we believe we came from. We are the ground and the ground is us. The land is us and we are the land. That's where we came from. Even long before the Bible came to our shores, our people believed that we are from the land. There is so many tales that are out there that speaks of the Bushman people and how they lived. So this language and hearing it, there's this longing, there's this deep yearning to speak it, to dance with, to dream in. As people say, Afrikaans, they can dream in this language, they can speak in this language. But here's one that calls out far greater than Afrikaans, far greater than English. So, it really spoke to me. I don't understand it. I can't interpret it. But the only interpretation that I can do of it is, who are you? You need to help us. You need to come. This is who you are. So that's what this language means for me.
And when you think of the relationships that episode 2 there is about, in a way, it's about the relationships that Pugh has with some people who, I mean, we can say work for him, but it's not really a fair working relationship, but still, that's the case. Like, what do you think about those relationships? Like, because, we have his version. His version is that, he's the European, they are naturally his servants. Like, but if you look at it, as you say, instead of looking from the anthropologist, but from their side, what do you imagine that they have thought or felt looking at him?
It's just very sad. These people, they don't have any other place to go to because they will go extinct. So you drive them to the Kalahari and it's like you dump them there and say, let them live there and see if they can survive. So you want to disown them of the land, even the resources. And that's what they did by creating these theories and these ideas that we were a lesser people. And I see him as part not only of that time, but I see him as part of all that flowed there afterwards.
Yes.
Us losing our identity, losing the land. And even in the democratic era, that legacy still continues because we are being said that we don't have any tribal system. We don't have any identity. But looking from the anthropology point of view, or in that time when it was studied, who was the people that they studied?
Yeah.
They chased these people because let's narrow them down. Let's narrow them down. Let's narrow them down to one single space so that we can study them because they are all over the place. And it's been the discussion for long that the Bushman people were not actually from the Kalahari.
Certainly not only, right? Yeah.
They were brought from different, they were chased, not brought, but chased from different areas and brought to this one central place where they say, okay, in 1908, now you have the time to study them. Now you have time to study them because they're at one single place. Now you can root them out.
And when you look at that legacy, like now one thing is like it's not even that long ago, right? It could have been, you know, I think Ivan Petrus' son showed me some pictures today of his grandmother who would have been alive at that time, you know, in that same area. So these are not people really far removed. What do you see in your own community now as like the consequences of that kind of thinking, this like hierarchy, this thing that put your people at a lower state?
Well, they've robbed us, and we have suffered because we have indirectly suffered. And now for us to close that gap, to once more even own land, to once more even own anything is wide. The river is wide. And there's not even a bridge. We have to now build a bridge to get there. And to build a bridge, it takes lots of resources. So now we have to go out into the world to find those resources to build this bridge. And I just feel that they are obligated to assist us. They are obligated. It is their moral responsibility to assist us as the generation of Ivan and myself, to assist us to building this bridge, to building a better society for those individuals who have suffered indirectly because of what Mr. Pich and those that paid for him to be here. Because remember, he did not fund himself.
Yeah.
He was funded by somebody.
Yeah, the Austrian Academy of
Yes.
Sciences, yeah.
So, in the name of science, I think to build the bridge is also a science. So, we need to build that bridge now. And that's where we are now. We need to build that bridge. So, I want to see that Academy of Science come to the Kalahari and say that, listen, we want to assist you in this area to become scientists, to become lawyers, and to become whatever field of study.
So basically you're saying, I mean, so throughout this work, what I've learned from some of the researchers there is that basically Pich built his own scientific career, but also the institution to an extent, right? On all this knowledge that he extracted from the Kalahari. And now is what you're saying is like, okay, well, now it's time to return the favor, to bring it back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is you have built your society on our suffering and our people's remains. Now what remains is that you need to plow back.
And what about the bones themselves? Like as far as I know, as far as I've figured out, of the ones that Pich took, only Troy and Klaas Pienaar have come back. So that would make it still more than 150, close to 170 in Vienna still.
You remember when I said that in the beginning is that my journey starts now. They need to be returned. It is their moral responsibility to even visit. I don't want them to only pay back. No, I want them to visit the area, to help develop with us the area. Because we need their resources, number one. But we also want them to not like Mr. Pich, who came here and used that, I want to say, spirit of superiority over us. But I want them to come this time and to say, listen, let us build a better world, because we've seen that these racial theories only disrupts the moral fibers of society. So let us come together and say, we want to build, we want to sponsor educational facilities, we want to sponsor somebody going to Vienna. I mean, Vienna is one of the beautiful cities in the world, and very famous people comes from Vienna. I think I might go there someday in the nearby future to experience the culture, the society, because for me, I don't want to live in the past anymore. What happened.
So it's not about revenge.
For me, it's not about the revenge. For me, this is a process of learning so that I can shape the future, be part of those individuals that will shape the future. I mean, I have a generation, I have an offspring that will come, and I don't want them to live at the barrel of a gun. I want them to live free. In this world, we need each other rather than destroying each other. Revenge is such an outdated thing.
Now, I mean, when you said this before, like we are some of the oldest people, and so maybe we have some knowledge. It made me think about some of the things that I have learned about sort of the Bushman way of engaging with the world. And one of the things that I think about is, for example, how I've been told you think of like killing animals, like hunting, you know, that it's this idea of like you wait until you know it's the right time, you know, like if you meet an eland and it feels like, no, it's not today, then you will not kill it. Yeah. And the idea of basically not exhausting the resources because you will depend on them next year. And which to me is like a kind of way of thinking that it feels like in the world is sort of trying to relearn after a long period of having a more colonial mindset of like exploitation. Or, I mean, well, what do you think? Is that right? Do you think that it's true that that kind of thinking that we're trying to learn now, you had all the time?
The thing is, the world, or let's say the Western world, have developed, but they've came to understand so little. They've used science to build electric cars. They've built so much, but caring for nature, caring for the little plant, caring for the water resources, animals. And I might say that I think they are living in a world where they don't understand simple principles. So, in short, the world has not evolved that much in knowledge. And they may call us in a bad way prehistoric, but we have gained this knowledge not by learning it from a university, but learning it every single day. That's how fathers taught their children to hunt. They have to feel in their hearts what the felt is feeling, what animals are feeling. They have to be in touch with nature. And if you are in touch with nature, you would know.
And you're not maybe so likely to go and destroy it as we've been busy doing. I want to ask about two more things, but one of them, the first one would be now we have this way where it's clear like traveling like Puch did in a very extractive way was, destructive, extractive, and had some horrible consequences both here, but also reverberating through the world, but is there now you're saying we need to look ahead. So like, let's say, the world, if people are listening to this, for example, like, is it time that they come back to learn from the Kalahari in a different way that's not extractive? Is there opportunity for that we can come and perhaps try and learn the real lessons that were overlooked at that time?
Our doors are open. They never need to bow their heads in shame of what their forebears did. No, come.
It's not about shame or guilt. It's about doing something.
Yeah, it's about doing something good for this time. So, yeah.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship that's possible. Yeah. But the other part I want to ask is like, so this type of story, you said that it touched you. What do you think we can, is there a point, can we use these stories for something that would enable the dreams maybe of you to get a little bit closer?
Well, the one thing that you can do is to take this story out to the rest of the world, and especially to all those individuals that have benefited from this institution and all of the science world, because Mr. Bitsch, what he studied became like the blueprint for the science world. So all of those who went after him, they should come back to the Kalahari, because I think the Kalahari needs to be proud of the fact that the Europeans see them as prehistoric, not in a bad sense, but in a good sense, that we are the knowledge bearers.
So not as an inferior thing, but
not as an inferior. They actually need to be in jubilant spirits, knowing that even after this and after this podcast gets to the ears of, it's gonna be listened to how many millions of people?
Well, that would be, I would hope that, but I think our humble podcast may not reach that many, but we'll do what we can.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and thank you for your time now in Rietfontein or wherever we will. Yeah. But we will meet again, I know. But thanks for listening and your words.
Thank you for listening to our humble podcast. This interview forms part of the Unburied Podcast series and is a production by ARC, together with the Iziko Museums of South Africa. And I need to again send a special thank you to those of you who've signed up to become part of the ARC Angels, listeners who support our work directly by contributing a small amount of money. Our dream is to be able to keep making stories that resonate with the people they are about and listeners across the world. We're on our way, but to be honest, we're still building the car while we're driving it. Times are tough for many of us, so if you're not able to support us financially, just know that listening and sharing this work help us a lot. And your messages inform our work and keep us motivated. We're still far from reaching the millions and millions of people that Brain Miennies hopes for. But we're working on it. And knowing that these kinds of stories speak deeply to some of you really, really helps. The season is produced, written, edited, sound designed and mixed by myself and Neil Liddell, with invaluable support from Dane Dotz, Naima Malaika, Neil Rush, and not least the archaeology unit at the Iziko Museum in Cape Town.